All right, it's 6 o'clock. The Grand Rapids Town Board is meeting today, Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Town of Grand Rapids Municipal Building. First, we'll start with a public hearing. Amending Ordinance 39, regulating schedule of fees and forfeitures, amending Section 39.3, table of fees to revise fee amounts for Ordinances 8 and 19 to read as follows. Ordinance number 8, chicken permit fee, $20 per year renewal, effective 8/14/2024. Ordinance 19, failure to obtain a driveway permit fee, double the permit fee, and effective date is 8/14/2024. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for? Anyone in favor, or speaking for, sorry? And anyone speaking in favor? Okay. Anyone speaking against? Anyone against? And anyone against? Okay. All right, then we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the second agenda item is approve agenda for meeting. Any changes? Okay. All right, third agenda item, approve minutes of the July 10th, 2024 Town Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve July 10th meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fourth agenda item is public comment. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with public comment limited to a total of 30 minutes. Note the board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during public comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. Any public comment? Okay. All right, fifth agenda item is monthly reports from the departments, and we'll start with the fire department.
Evening, board and residents. Our report for the month of July 2024. We're currently staffed with 44 members. Always looking for good, motivated individuals for fire and EMS. Stop by the fire station or contact the fire department if you have interest in serving your community. For the month of July, we responded to 50 calls for service. We had 39 EMS calls compared to 26 this time frame last year. We had 11 fire calls compared to 14 last year. Our fire calls last month consisted of 2 in Grand Rapids, none in Saratoga. We had 1 in Grant, and we had 8 mutual aid calls. Those calls consist of 1 structure alarm. The 8 mutual aid calls were to Wisconsin Rapids, Bancroft, Town of Hull, and Rudolph. We had 1 rescue missing person and 1 carbon monoxide call. Our training last month consisted of, we did a little bit of a joint thing with fire and EMS. We had Lifelink 3 come down and give a classroom presentation on setting up landing zones and expectations of our staff when we use med flight services. And then on the fire side, we went through a little bit of radio training on some new used radios we bought and participated in the Lifelink as well. So other than that, the drone team met and are still working on license test preparation. So we had 1 monthly department meeting, 3 training meetings, 1 officer meeting, public relations last month, quite a bit. We concluded our 2024 gun raffle. Thanks to everybody, that was very successful. We did really well on that. We hosted our quarterly retiree breakfast. We participated in the Rudolph Parade, and we hosted another 2-day Varsity Blood Drive and hosted the Portage County Chiefs quarterly meeting at our station. Last month we did 2 homes for smoke detectors and 2 address signs. Safety department, there were no injuries to report for the month of July. Any questions from board residents? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's 25% low on blood.
Oh, okay.
All right, police department.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
For the month of July 2024, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 481 calls for service compared to 462 calls for service in July of 2023, which is an increase of 19 calls. And you guys have the breakdown of those calls. The department issued 70 traffic citations, 16 municipal ordinance citations, 32 written warnings, and no DNR citations for last month. As far as our auxiliary, the Grand Rapids Police Auxiliary had another busy month. State Water Ski Show Championship hosted by the Aqua Skiers at Southwood County Park. That was July 17th through the 21st. Their duties included traffic control, crowd control, and ID checks. They also participated in the Touch It Truck event at the Grand Rapids Lions Club on July 27th. This fundraising event supported the Family Center and was well attended by families from the local community. The children were especially pleased to be able to touch and view all the vehicles on display. Please thank our auxiliary members for their service when you see them at our community events. They are volunteers. So please feel free to stop by the police department if anybody's got any questions. Any questions? We're going to make it easy on you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and public works.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
We officially opened Washington Street July 17th after it was painted. Put the mailboxes up ourselves. On Friday the 19th, all the ATV, UTV signs were officially down. We're still doing daily patching and sign work. We've had a little extra sign work. We've had a rash of a few signs stolen here lately. Last week, the 5th, we sent out reminders that we will be working on Enchanted, Wood Avenue, Batavia, and Lenox, of which started Monday morning. Getting ready for overlays. And Tuesday morning, Enchanted Drive will be officially tore up and be started to be reconstructed. We also started working on the ball diamonds in West Lawn Park with the getting that back in shape. So that's all we've got for the month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and treasurer report.
Okay, for the month of July, our regular checking account has a balance of $114,502. The repo has a balance of $478,364.69. Our money market at Prevail has a balance of $340,302.08. Our tax account has a balance of $691.76. The tax repo has a balance of $3,922.06. Our ARPA balance is at $193,981.65. So our overall cash on hand minus the ARPA is $900,954.22.
Thank you. All right, agenda item number 6, consideration and possible action on resolution 2024-14, amendments to ordinance 39, schedule of fees and forfeitures, updating fee amounts for ordinances 8 and 19.
I can make a motion to accept resolution 2024-14 for the regulating schedule of fees and forfeitures.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right, agenda item number 7, consideration and possible action on board members attending WTA annual convention.
Does anybody know if they are for sure going to go?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And I can just give permission to anybody that wants to, so.
No. Okay.
Just remember them, yeah.
Yep, the traffic policy and stuff.
Yep.
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 Okay. All right, so Bill for now anyways.
Still for sure.
They don't offer these on demand, do they?
You can one of them,
No.
video.
The second one, they have a
Yeah,
second one.
I was, yeah, that, I'm sorry, I'm at work.
Can I read
on
this
those
thing?
days.
something about this?
Yep.
You know, I just want to repeat this, and I do all the time. The Towns Association in 1947 started right here in this town, at the town hall, which was in the city of Wisconsin Rapids. And Ben Hanman was the guy that started this. He was the first executive director. And this town used to come to it, they used to bring the court, almost the whole board come. They just let somebody here for the Rose 3 days. You learn so much at those things. I mean, it's just like when you work at a place and they pay you to get some training. You know what I mean? This is what you're gonna get, so I find it very disappointing that people don't attend this. I think it's so important. That's all I got to say.
All right, then agenda item number 8 is consideration and possible action on board members attending WTA fall workshops.
I make the motion.
Motion for this?
I'll second.
What are you motioning?
Are you just,
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah, okay, so we don't need to
Yeah.
motion for that, yeah.
And those are actually offered through the virtual programming, correct?
Yes.
And so if we want to do that, we'll just submit that to you by August 20th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. Agenda item number 9, consideration and possible action on residents' request to purchase land from the town, being the undeveloped roadway of 76th Street South between Grove Avenue and South Circle Drive.
All right, so in your packets for this meeting were the letter that was received at the last meeting and the town's policy related to road discontinuation requests. Just a reminder, or recap really, this was referred from the July 10th, 2024 town board meeting. A letter was received that was signed by all the adjacent property owners to this section of 76th Street South, requesting the purchase of that land between Grove Avenue and South Circle Drive. I'm not sure, I know it wasn't part of your packet, so I did print off, just in case anybody isn't familiar with it. I just want you to be able to kind of pinpoint where we're talking about in the event that somebody isn't sure where that is. So this was referred to this meeting just to allow the zoning administrator and myself to take a look at what this road was, how it's actually classified, and then just talk through the process. And so I did have an opportunity to work with the zoning administrator to understand what the subject road is. So the subject road is an undeveloped section of 76th Street South. It's actually technically between two subdivisions. It's not part of one subdivision. The road was dedicated when each of the subdivisions were platted. So Eberhart subdivision, specifically the second edition, is where 33 feet of that came from. Parkway Estates subdivision to the west of that is where the other 33 feet came from. So that section is fully dedicated at 66 feet for road purposes. And with dedicated roads, just so it's been a little bit of time since the town has considered that, and some of you are newer on the board since we've done one. With dedicated roads, we can't sell dedicated roads. So number one, that request, the way it's worded, we can't do that. We don't sell our road dedications. What we can do is consider it as a discontinuance or vacation. Sometimes they're used kind of synonymously. So we can go through a discontinuance if the town determines it to be in the public interest to do so. And then we also don't decide what happens to the road. Okay, statute decides what happens to the road. 661005 is what determines that, and it looks to how it originally came to be dedicated. In other words, what would follow here would be that since it came half from one subdivision, half from the other, it would just attach 33 feet to each of those properties. But that's guided by statute. It isn't our determination to make. That would be it would be set by statute if we did discontinue the road. With discontinuation requests, it really starts in one of two ways, and that's going to lead to your policy. So the two ways that you can have a discontinuation of a road commence is with a signed written petition, okay, and it needs to be signed by all the owners of the frontage lots, and it needs to also be signed by owners of more than 1/3 of the land fronting the remainder of 2,650 feet from the portion of roads to be discontinued both sides. So this isn't a sufficient petition. It's an important point. This isn't a sufficient petition in that regard. So the other way that it can be initiated is from the town board by introducing a preliminary resolution, which some of you are familiar with. We have done that in the past, where we've introduced a preliminary resolution that sets forth a process. It sets forth a public hearing, that has to happen. I think it's more than 40 days after that preliminary resolution is adopted, and then would require a final resolution to actually discontinue the property. That is what your policy relates to. So your policy, just to kind of walk you through what that policy is actually saying. The policy is saying exactly that in the A and B sections of your policy, right? So the process for discontinuation can start from a written petition, or it can start as town board initiated if the town board determines that it's in the public interest to start the process of discontinuing a road. Where it's town board initiated, that's what this process or this policy is actually putting in. If it's town board initiated, okay, and it's when requested by a citizen, then there are certain costs that are going to be required of the citizens that are requesting. If it's town board initiated and not requested by citizens, then the town is responsible for the costs. That's what your policy was doing, is when citizens request that you consider discontinuing a road, there are of course costs associated with that. This policy exists to make the person requesting it, or persons requesting it, responsible for the costs. And that's the reason that that was put in place, is because that's not a whole lot different than the written petition. If a written petition was received, there's a whole number of costs that would be associated and have to be covered by those that are petitioning. So I just wanted to make sure that you had all the background as to kind of what's in play. So really what's in play is not a consideration to sell the property. It would be a consideration to discontinue that section of roadway. If you decided to do that, it can start in one of two ways. Either you consider it when an actual written petition that would be sufficient would require you to do so, or you can initiate it as a town board and go through the process through a preliminary resolution.
I'm just waiting for what you want us
Yeah.
to do.
Do you
I
want
mean, do you want a
discussion
motion
prior?
on this?
Yeah.
or-
Well, I mean, it depends on what direction we go, I guess, if there would need to be a motion or not.
Right.
I would make a motion that we discontinue it and move on with the last one, the discontinuation of it.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, then that motion dies.
Can we
Comments?
discuss about it?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So what I'd, being that the adjoining property owners approached our board on July's meeting, I feel that it was in their interest that they wanted to have this property or the road right away being discontinued. With that being said, I think it would be beneficial for, to receive a written petition from the property owners so that we can ensure that it is in the interest of the whole, both subdivisions that would be there. That would be including the people that are 2650 from either end of that road right away. or, yeah, the road right away. That's my opinion.
Okay. Any other thoughts or discussion? Okay, so then the recommendation would be that a written petition would need to come to the board to take further action on this then.
Right. And then we would follow the requested, yeah, the policy A when a citizen actually requests the, for the roadway, right away to be discontinued.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
I know there was somebody that wanted to speak to this.
But still, I would like, and so it still needs board approval to do that, a majority of the board to do that. So is this a motion?
No, it would just be, for those here, a written petition would need to be presented to us so that we could.
So basically, the written petition would be in place of a preliminary resolution. That's
Okay.
the difference here, is
All right.
that if a written petition that was satisfactory was received, then there wouldn't be a preliminary resolution at all.
Yeah.
There is no guarantee that the public way will be discontinued. However, the process would be set in place, and it would have to be paid for by the petitioners.
So then with this motion then, I mean, there isn't a motion per se, but then it would be, again, come back to our town board to, once the formal petition was received, and then we would address it and follow our process. Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
One more question. So
Yep.
that's a public hearing is required then?
Well, there would be, I mean, you'd have to have a sufficient petition, but yes, there would be a public hearing set. There would be legal recordings they would have to do. There's some pretty significant steps that are involved, not unlike the steps that we have to do.
Yeah.
If we adopt it as a preliminary resolution.
Anything? Okay. All right. Then,
Madam Chairman, were you going to let the people that on the petition talk?
Well-
Because that's what your policy is.
right, that's, I mean, we probably didn't pause enough to let you comment, so go ahead, you can comment.
Yeah, Bill
Yeah,
ended
that's
up
fine.
making the motion
Yeah.
too fast in order for her to say public
Yeah.
comment, so.
So you're
That's
not
why,
gonna-
once
No,
there is a
it-
motion on the floor.
It's
I know
fine,
that, but
because
yeah.
it went so fast, yes, you can, I'll allow comment right now on it.
So am I understanding it right, that it's the same thing whether or not it'll be discontinued, whether or not we have to initiate that petition versus you just saying, well, let's decide on this? Except for the property owners would be paying some sort of fees? And are we talking reasonable fees, or is that something that we would go through a lot of work and have a fee that's unattainable?
Well, I can't speak to how much the fees will be for you to initiate that process with a petition. It may be working with an attorney, it may be working through a surveyor to get a legal description. There may be, some costs associated with it, certainly. And whether that's reasonable will be up to who you all bring in to go through that process. The next steps after that are the same. It still would require the public hearing. It still doesn't mandate that the public way be discontinued. I think that's answering all your questions.
And so if you already voted the one way of doing it down, so as residents, how do we know how to get that started, that petition? And is there guidelines for us? Because I think we're all interested in doing that. That's why we're here. We do not want that road going through. We don't want those trees cut down. Neither do any of the neighbors that we've talked to. None of them want that. It's been that way since '74. As we said before, there's no need for us to have that hanging over our head, especially when it was started again this year. When are they gonna come and start tearing down trees? So I think we're all in agreement that, yes, we need to go forward to this if we have the opportunity, but we've never done that before. We have no idea where to start.
So maybe the best way of following up is so you can call the office maybe tomorrow. I'll leave a note with Jenna. If you talk to Jenna, she can give you the statute reference. It's 661003, but I'll have her print off or have the statutory guidelines. It's set by statute.
There are guidelines that we can follow.
Through the
because that's-
statute, yes.
Through the statute, because obviously this is not an area we're familiar with as opposed. And so any guidelines you can provide, I mean, does this property now have a description?
Well, remember, technically it does, but it's the origination of this property is from 2 different plats, right? So the legal description is a little unique here because you could probably meets and bounds it, right? And that would be one way of doing it, or it's 33 feet from each of those subdivisions.
And as you ask us to have a petition signed, are you saying that it has to be 260?
At least a third of
Yeah,
the
ordinance or the policy.
It's not policy, that's by
Part.
statute.
Okay.
It's in our policy,
Yeah.
but
That's okay. How many feet?
2,650 feet
2,650
from
feet.
either end of the portion to be discontinued within the town
No,
limits.
just because then we can contact, but what does the petition, is the petition something that we can create, just by writing out a document that says that this is our intent, and if you are in agreement with this, will you sign? And we just list the people that this would affect and whether they do sign or they don't sign. And because I think there would be a way to create something that encompasses this, unless you need more, how would you say, definite, like this many feet by this many feet. I mean, does it have to be that specific?
well, you need at least a third of signatures measured from each of those, the endpoints that Supervisor Lumby had referenced.
Because is that indeed something the surveyor has to do, or can we measure out this many feet?
You can do that on GIS. GIS would be able to do that.
Because I don't want to omit something and then just have this take up any more of your valuable time because we didn't quite get it right.
And I would just say, yes, it's set by statute. Yes, you'd probably want some information in there, like a legal description of the property that you're asking to be discontinued. You're going to want the addresses of anybody that's signing it because it needs to be able to verify that it is in fact.
That's indeed why I wanted to be clear about the exact distance so that we reach out to all those people and either have, whatever their decision is, whether they, so forth. So I don't want to get too stuck on that, but I feel because of the nature of this, we have to be detailed and correct. Otherwise, is there anything else you can think of if you were looking at it from this side of the desk? Like, was there any other aspect to this that needs to be handled for it to be appropriate to bring to the board?
Once you have a sufficient petition, then it would have to come to the board, yes.
So if we get it ready before the next meeting, we can move forward?
If you get it ready before the next meeting, it would have to be in advance enough to actually put it on the agenda, but.
And how many days is that?
I would say at the absolute latest, the Wednesday before a board meeting. Does that give enough time to review, if anybody needs to review anything? That would be
Well,
my latest that I could.
Yeah, I mean.
That's why
To put
I'm
it on the
asking
agenda.
that
To put it on the
specific-
agenda.
And then there's going to need to be a review of that petition for sufficiency, right?
Yeah,
So
so you-
you're going to need to ensure that you have that,
Right.
the abutting property owners, which I suspect won't be an issue, and the number of signatures that hits that 1/3 threshold, which is going to be mapping out all the properties to figure out how many numbers that is, and then verifying every signature. So it's going to take some work to verify it as a sufficient petition, or to turn it back over to them.
You're right, so yeah, actually for our zoning administrator would probably have to verify all the addresses. So actually, I would say probably 2 weeks before the board meeting, just to give her sufficient time.
No, and that's indeed why I'm asking those specific questions, because this is new territory for us, and we don't want to assume that, how would you say, I don't want to assume that I know this process, because I don't, and I respect the process, I just don't want to miss something because it's not something we can learn. But I appreciate you answering our questions and taking the time for this. It's important to us. You know, it affects our day-to-day lives and so forth. So it's just, I just really respect that, you know, you have a system to follow. So, and that will be the starting point, and then we can move from there. If we have this all ready for you and you can take a look at it and determine that all the names and addresses match the plat book or whatever zoning book you use to make sure that happens. That goes through the zoning administration, you said?
Our zoning administrator is Jenna, so she can help you with.
Okay.
She's the one that would handle all
Okay,
of the zoning.
because I don't see any of those things as not doable. The neighbors that we have are all really awesome people and very approachable. I don't see it, you know, as being a real big problem, but I, again, just don't want to be, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm really trying not to talk at all. I just don't want to be like, I should have asked that later, so thank you.
I think any additional questions could come to the office as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Douglas Kiesling, 5410 Woodrock Avenue. I would just have a recommendation that 2 months ago the board wasn't considering shutting down this road. So my opinion is it's very important to have the residents that actually want this to happen to actually do the effort to come back and make it happen. And I have a question then for you. Once we go through all this process, Nick, and the road becomes discontinued, does the property then go up for general sale, or how does it get determined who it gets sold to?
661005. So it looks at how it was originally acquired, in this case platted, and it would go to each of the subdivisions or the adjacent properties is how it would go. We don't get to sell public right away.
And then just a recommendation for the petition. My understanding was if you go through the petition route, the people that are signing the petitions are going to have to help pay for this process. So I guess I would recommend when you're doing the petition to make clear in the petition that there's going to be costs to it, or you're going to regret it later.
And also, just for minutes purposes, can I have your name?
Oh, mine?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
My first name is Teresa with an H, and my last name is THRUN.
Thank you.
I live at 7521 Grove.
Thank you.
So I'm the west side of this, and his family is the east side.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I also just want to make a comment too, though. You're right, the board is not considering this at this time, connecting 76th Street at all. So you're correct in your statement. That wasn't on our list.
This is my district that I represent on the county board, and I'll put you in touch with somebody in the courthouse that can maybe help you and assist you in this.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, agenda item number 10 is July disbursement vouchers.
I have a couple questions, if I may.
Yep.
On page 2, where we have the complete control for $1,533.47, it said storm damage to equipment.
Hold on, you're back on the the monthly financials.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay. What page?
It's towards the back. Yeah, I don't think the,
Lightning damage?
The storm, when
Yeah.
we had the hailstorm, the cameras got damaged.
that's
yes.
cameras? Okay,
Yeah,
because
they
I was
can-
wondering, like, building, I know complete controls, like electrical, so I
They
didn't
had
know.
to come replace some
Okay.
technical thing, I don't know.
Okay, that's
They
fine,
didn't-
that's fine. I just was trying to make that association. And then also that Elite Auto Body for $11,485.06. Was that just one vehicle?
That was, yes, that was the
Ford Explorer.
2020 Explorer.
Okay,
Yep.
and then were both of these things submitted for insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
We had 4 vehicles submitted for insurance from the
Okay.
hailstorm.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it did go through insurance. Thank you.
Agenda item number 11, operator license applications.
I can make a motion to approve the operator's license for 1 year as presented.
So second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Monthly reports from the committees. Public Works, we did not meet this month. Airport Commission.
Airport Commission met on July 1st, 2024. Nothing to report for major projects. Or actually at quite a stalemate with our projected plans for airport improvements and terminal improvements and so on. Jumping forward a little bit in my notes, there was a commission-approved letter drafted that was to be sent to the Bureau of Aeronautics and the FAA. Basically, this letter is asking what the heck is going on at their level, because there's been no attention given to smaller airports like ours, the Marshfields, just our size airports. We've been completely in the dark with any of communication. What that means is some of our grants are expiring, and then the number of grants that are out there for improvements to our airport are dwindling. And it's kind of a big deal because we have a master plan in place and nothing's getting done. This has been at kind of a stalemate for over a year, and we have no correspondence whatsoever from the Bureau. On a positive note, June was a record month for fuel sales, an all-time monthly record, we were told. Some furnace quotes were approved for the terminal for furnace replacements. The quotes were reviewed and the lowest quote was approved. Same with fence and gate issues that are ongoing. We're trying to find a different vendor and a different repair person for those. Future agenda items are, again, the fence and gate quotes, and August 24th, excuse me, there's a Young Eagles rally. That is Saturday, August 24th. And we're missing the Hamburger Social. That is tonight. We have 20 minutes to get there. That was put on by the chapter. Next meeting scheduled for September 5th, 2024 at 8 a.m. Thank you.
Recycling, solid waste, and water.
We did not meet, but I was wondering if we could back up to the Public Works. I just sort of had a question in regards to, Bill had mentioned on our last meeting that he was going to work with Wood County about extending that bike trail. Have we done anything on that?
Yes, they're just waiting for it to go through, and they haven't had a meeting since then at the airport. But no, I haven't, I'm at the Highway Committee. But.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Plan Commission.
Plan Commission, we met last night. We had one item that was to approve a visual buffer for a conditional use permit, that they wanted to add some trees to their buffer. We also had a chicken permit, and then also we discussed guidelines for the free libraries that are being erected. That was it.
Okay. Public buildings, we're hoping to meet next week to go through information from the company about the sign, and then the bench as well.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear.
Legislative?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Public safety?
Nothing.
Okay. Economic development did not meet. Personnel, we met. We've got a closed agenda item for what we met about.
Mm-hmm.
And WTA meeting.
The WTA meeting was held July 19th in the town of Hanson. And the speaker of that was Travis Marty. He was the 2023 Outstanding Young Farmer of the Year, and he lives in Wood County. And he owns 1,200 acres, and he milks 575 cows. And he explained the operation that he operates with his family. He does all the operations with his family, his grandpa, and his father, and his family, of course. And then for legislative speaking, Donna Rozar from the 69th Assembly District spoke, and she just spoke about the election coming up. And Steve Dickinson, WTA Director 2, talked about road grants. And there's a lot of road grants out there that the federal government has given, and they're discussed at conferences. The conference that's coming up, we should be sending somebody there for that, about road grants and how to put in for them. There's grant writers there available when you go to it. So that's going to be at the annual convention too. So on August 16th, the next meeting will be held at the town of Hiles. That's this Friday.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions?
Is there a list that Steve has for the grants that he can supply and we can peruse through them?
They will be available at the conference that they're doing, and I'm trying to get that from Steve when he was talking, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Reports from individual town board members. Jeff?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Jason?
Nothing.
Patty?
I noticed that there's already blacktop damage on our new Washington Street due to someone burning out with their vehicle, unfortunately. So I don't know what a person can do about that, but maybe ring doorbells and trying to find out who's been doing that. But started disheartened when I saw that right away, shortly after it was completed. But I think that the blacktop on Washington Street, or that project, looks really good, and they did a fine job with it. So thanks, Mike and your crew, for getting involved with that.
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
if I could, just
Yep.
because it relates to Supervisor Clendenning, and it's also an update that I believe all town board members received. So earlier this month, we did receive a notification that we were approved for ARIP, the Agricultural Road Improvement Program. Some may remember that we had discussed putting in an application. We were one of 37 communities selected in the state, so it's a great award to get. We were awarded for the project on Washington from 64th to 80th, and the award amount was $585,000 for that project.
Yeah.
It's a 90-10 match, which means that we will get $526,500 for that project.
Wow. Good job.
So I say that because probably, well, we hoped for this meeting, but for one of the next couple meetings, we should receive our award from them, so we'll have that on the agenda to actually approve, because we haven't approved the award yet. But we were selected, one of 37 communities.
May I say something? And one of the things that we talked about it with Roland Hawks and the chairman of it, and that's going to require an intersection on 80th and Washington, and they're willing to help out on it and ready to go whenever we are. So
Great.
Can I make a comment too? And I just want to say too that Mike Smith did a tremendous amount of work, and also I know Nick did a lot of work. Our clerk, Lisa.
I didn't do much. They did
Yeah,
everything.
they did a lot of work on this whole project, and we would not have been able to get that grant without both of those gentlemen's hard work on that whole project. So thank you to both of you.
That'd be a major improvement to our community.
Okay. All right, future agenda items. All right, agenda item number 15, the Grand Rapids Town Board will move into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility for the purpose of reviewing the Police and Fire Commission selection for police chief and discuss associated employment agreement and starting salary.
I'll make that motion to go into closed session.
Second?
All right, roll call. Bill?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Myself, aye.